Okay. So I know all of you on YouTube are like, what? Why is she back? What happened? Did you forget to say something? No, I did not. This is a totally different topic. So I was inspired to speak on something that has been bothering me. So um, I decided to come back on. And this time I'm doing Facebook and YouTube. So I want it to be saved in my YouTube archive. And um and then Facebook, I thought I'd give y'all a live. So I want to talk about success. Now, y'all know that I talk about success in every live. Every live that I do pretty much has to do with success on some level. Okay? Success on some level. But right now, I want to talk about success differently. So, it's a little bit different than how I normally talk about success. This is not going to be long because it's like midnight. I need to go to bed, like desperately. But this is what is on my heart and that I wanted to say. There are a lot of people out there that some of you may listen to right now. And I want you to understand where this is coming from. This is, first off, this is my personal opinion. Okay? That's the first thing. This is my personal opinion. And this is coming from not that I'm a hater or anything like that, because whenever somebody has something to say that maybe goes against what is commonly thought or what is a popular ideal or what somebody else says, they're labeled a hater. And that's not what this is about. I want you to get a hold of this. This is about something that I feel deeply about personally, and I want to say something about it. As I say a lot of times, there's a lot of people out here with mental health issues. And as I said before and brought up, at least every week, at least two people every week, and that's probably on the very low side on my timeline, go from I'm so happy, everything is perfect, everything is working out for me. And then the next day they post, I don't want to live anymore. I can't go on. And you're like, what? So even people that you know that may seem like they're okay, they're doing great, they're thriving, they're so happy, their life is so perfect. A lot of times, even those people are not doing well. Okay? Lots and lots and lots of people are struggling with mental illness or not even necessarily all the time illness, but just depression, being unhappy, um, just lots of things, just life issues, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like things just aren't working for them. Yes, hello. Thank you for joining me, YouTube. I know I'm back again. I was just on here. But a lot of people are struggling with a lot of different issues, okay? And now, I personally believe the people who are doing motivational speaking right now, um, are so successful because you might think, for example, I consider myself to be a type of motivational speaker. And you might think, for example, well, how can there be 100 motivational speakers and everybody is booking up and everybody is in high demand and all of that? But a lot of it has to do with people's mental states. Like people are really struggling out here mentally right now. People are going through a lot, and it's not really a climate per se in social media that accepts where you are. Okay? Everybody's like, look at me. My life is perfect. I'm so great. I'm doing so great. And you should want to be me. or you should spend your whole day looking at me, right? And my perfect life. And so, what that does to a lot of people who are out here struggling is it makes them feel isolated. It makes them feel like their struggle is not typical, like everybody around me. And then they go out and they feel like they're walking around, and maybe they go to Target and they only have a little bit of money. I'm not shopping at Target personally, but anyway, maybe they go to Target, they only have a little bit of money, and they see everybody around them and their basket is full. And then they see them get into their Range Rovers and whatever, and they feel like the average person would feel like everybody's doing good and I'm not. And then they follow their favorite person on social media, and that person's like, oh, my life is perfect. Look at my perfect kids and my perfect home and my perfect car, and I've got all this money, and look at the watch I'm wearing, and look at my landscaping and all of these things. And what do these things tend to do? They tend to, oh, and then of course, your favorite social media person may or motivational speaker may throw in something like, you're just a loser if you don't want more, or if you don't have more, or if you're watching me and your life isn't perfect as well, right? And what does that do? In my opinion, that does the very opposite of motivate somebody, right? It takes somebody who may be struggling, who may be going through something right now, or who may be at the beginning of their journey, and it makes them feel, in my opinion, even more hopeless, or makes them feel like what that other person has is unattainable, right? Like they've got all this and I have nothing. So I just wanted to come on and tell you that when it comes to success, and I believe this with everything in me, when it comes to success, success is a deeply personal destination. I want you to hear that and think about it. Success is a deeply personal destination. No one and nobody should be able to come, and shame on them if they do, in my opinion, and tell you that success has to look like their life, or success has to look like a Rolls Royce, or success has to look like a Rolex, or success has to look like 20 million in the bank, 20,000 at least a month, or whatever number. Okay? I believe that with everything in me. Now, if you want to aspire to have 20,000 per month coming in income, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fabulous. That's fabulous. If you want a Rolls Royce, fabulous. If you want to live in a 10,000 square foot home, that's fabulous. But please believe me when I say, if that's not what you want, if you do not, there are people out there that tell you that money is not the root of all evil. They will tell you that. Now, if you're a Christian, the Bible says money is the root of all evil. If somebody is telling you something that is against what the Bible says, watch out. Watch out. Okay? That's a red flag. That's a first red flag. But even more so than that, there are people out there who are desperate and aspire to have children. That's all they want. That's all they've ever wanted. They want a husband, a good husband, who goes to work every day and comes home every night, and they want children. And they want to live in a nice house, in a nice neighborhood, and drive a car that's reliable. And that is their level of aspiration, and that is their idea of success. Now, a lot of these people out here will tell you that's nothing. If that's what you want, you're a loser. You just want to be a little housewife and raise your little children. You're a loser. That makes me angry. It makes me angry when somebody who does not know you who doesn't know what you've been through comes on and says, if you don't look like me, if you don't have what I have, if your life isn't like my life, if you don't aspire to be what I am, if you don't weigh 110 pounds like I do, then you're nobody and you're nothing. And your dreams are stupid. I have a problem with people like that. Even though I talk to people about being successful, my idea is I want you to be successful in whatever it is that you do. If you're a garbage person, I'm sorry, a sanitation um, worker, I want you to be the best sanitation worker there is. That's success. If you are a homeschooling mama, I want you to be the best homeschooling mama that there is. That's success. If you are just married and it's just you and your husband, I want you to be the best wife that you can be. That's success. Or if you work in the workplace and you're happy in the workplace. When I worked for my 1 year that I decided to work for the state, and it was 1 year exactly to the day, I met lots of people who were thrilled to work for the state and they wanted to retire working for the state. That was their idea of success: a steady, reliable job, a steady, reliable paycheck, state benefits. That was their idea of hitting the jackpot. Now, that wasn't my personal idea of hitting the jackpot, but I respected the fact that they knew who they were, what they wanted, and that's what they were striving to do their best at. I respected that. I did not see them as, oh, you're not successful. You want to work for the state? That's your goal? No, that was their goal. We need to respect people's goals. We need to respect people's different ideas of success. Your idea of success and my idea of success may be completely different. Some of these people who have attained wealth and renown, who are, for example, motivational speakers, some of them grew up with nothing. And so they want everything, because often when you didn't have something, you tend to go a little overboard with what it is that you want when you grow up, when you get older. Now, I'm a little flip side of that. I grew up extremely wealthy and I got to see what comes with wealth, extreme wealth. I did not care for what came with extreme wealth: the depravity, the sexual perversion, the all kinds of things. And this is like what you see in Hollywood and the music industry. I know that you all watch on TikTok and see, what goes on behind the scenes and what they do and what they partake in. And that's the kind of thing that I saw growing up in extreme wealth. And there was a lot of things that I was like, no thanks. Because when people, and I can't speak for everybody or every situation, but I want you to know, when you get into certain rooms with certain people at certain financial levels, there are certain things that come with those rooms and those levels and that access. There's a limit for me personally of how much I want. I don't want to be in rooms with certain people. I don't care what your name is. I don't care how many followers you have on Instagram. I don't care how famous you are, how many bodyguards you have, how many Rolls Royces you have. I'm not impressed by those things because I grew up around them. And I know that with certain things, there are certain attachments that go along with them. I don't want any part of those attachments. So, no, I don't look at anybody else and say, oh my gosh, you've got all this and you got to meet so and you hobnobbed with, this person or that person or whatever. Not impressed. Not impressed. I'm happy for you if that's what you want. I'm happy for you. That is not my idea of success. Does that make sense? There are a lot of people out there that are telling people who support them. This is what is mind blowing to me. People, there are a lot of people out there who are telling people in powerful positions, influential positions, motivational speakers, or coaches or whatever you want to call them, and are telling people that if you aren't me or don't want to be me, you have no value. I have a really big problem with that. I have a really big problem with that. First off, you should never want to be anybody but yourself. You should never want to be anybody but yourself. Okay? And your dreams and goals are very personal. Very personal. You hold value if you just want to be a housewife. You hold value. A lot of people tell you you don't hold any value. You want to be a housewife, you don't want to sell something, you don't want to be a millionaire, you don't want to drive this car, you don't want to live this lifestyle. Hey, hey. My opinion, the simpler you keep it, the better chance you have of getting into heaven. That's just me though. But and the more grounded you stay. Because a lot of these people, I don't know, full of self, full of self, full of self, full of self. Talking about being humble, but no humbleness to be found in them. And like I said, I'm not trying to attack anybody in particular. I'm not uh, who's an influencer. But what I am trying to say to you is if you are following somebody, and I'm not telling you to stop following them because I'm not in charge of who you listen to and who you don't and who you like. And I'm not telling you you shouldn't like somebody. But what I am saying is be careful. Be careful of who you idolize because, in my opinion, as a Christian, you're not to idolize anybody but God. Okay? But be careful of who you idolize and who you look up to and who you want to be like because if you don't use your better judgment when that little red flag goes off in the back of your head when they say something, and your first judgment or your first reaction is, that was hurtful what they just said, or I don't agree with that. But then you shake it off because so and so said it. No, you need to listen to that voice. You need to listen to that voice. And you need to be honest. And this is why I'm going to be straight up with y'all. This is why you have to have goals, okay? You have to know who you want to be, what you want to be. You have to have goals for yourself so that you can say to yourself, you know what? Yeah, she's talking about I need this and I need that and I need to be like this. And if I'm not this, then I'm not good enough to be around somebody like her or whatever. But if you don't know what you want for yourself, then you're going to get caught up in that and you're going to start to feel a certain way about yourself. And it's not going to be positive. And we all should feel positively about ourselves. Yes, there may be things about you that you want to change. Yes, that's a good thing. You should always want to be a better version of yourself. Okay? There may be some things about you that you want to change. There may be some things about you that you don't like. Yes, you may feel like you need to lose 10 pounds. But if somebody says, if you don't look like me, then you're nobody. Okay, maybe you only want to lose 10 pounds. Maybe you like a little meat on your body. But somebody's telling you if you have any meat on your body, you're a loser. You don't care about yourself. Maybe you look the way you do because your husband likes the way you look. Maybe you look the way you do because you like the way you look, okay? Maybe you drive a Subaru because you think they're very good, dependable cars and you like your Subaru. And somebody's telling you you're nobody if you don't have a Rolls Royce, if you don't want a Rolls Royce, if you don't want a Bentley, or if you don't want maybe you don't want that. I know personally I would never want that. That would never be my dream car if somebody gave it to me for free. If somebody handed me a Rolls Royce today for free, I would tell them take it back. I like SUVs. Okay, I don't want. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed because I grew up around it and I understand the trappings that come with money. And I hate when I see people pray, and I feel like it's preying upon people because they don't know about what all comes along with it. And they're not going to tell you that. They're never going to tell you that. Oh, you want to be in this room with these people that I'm with. But they're not going to tell you what they had to do to get to that room. They're not going to tell you what they have to do to stay in that room. They're not going to tell you what goes on in that room. That's all I'm going to say about that. But in conclusion, what I want to tell you is whatever you see success as is what it is. It's not what she sees success as he sees success, your mama sees success, your daddy sees success. Success is what you determine it to be. In my family, success meant that you were a multimillionaire, that you were highly educated, you had every degree possible, and you were a multimillionaire. That was success in my household, well, in my family. I grew up, I decided that I wanted to marry the man that I loved, and I wanted to have a bunch of kids. I wanted to stay at home. I wanted to be barefoot and pregnant. Okay, I wanted to be a crunchy mom. That was my idea of success. That was my idea of happiness. That was my idea of joy. My family was horrified. They were horrified, like horrified. Okay, they considered calling CPS on me at one point when I was raising my kids because my idea of success was so different and alien to their idea. And they felt that I needed to conform to their idea in order to be successful. But what I realized is my life is mine to live. My life is uniquely mine to live and nobody else's. And nobody else gets to tell me what success looks like for Tish. Nobody. Period. End of story. And so I continued to live my idea of a successful life. And it brought me joy. It brought me fulfillment. Okay. I have a problem with, and this is just me personally, I have a problem with people who are mothers who preach to other people, you're nobody if you're not out in that, if you're not an entrepreneur constantly away from your kids, if you're not that successful businesswoman who's constantly away from their kids, what'd you have kids for? If you weren't going to be around to raise them, why'd you have kids? How fair is that? Now, it stroked your ego because you had the kids, but your kid is living through the life of never having you with them. How fair is that to the child? I don't think it's fair. That was not my idea of success. That is not what I wanted for myself. So you have to know yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to be confident. These are things that I preach for success. And these are no matter what it is. I don't care if you're a professional basket weaver. These are the things that you need. Because if you don't have these things, then when somebody out there on the internet tells you you're a loser because you don't want the things that I have, that you don't want the house that I have, that you don't want the life that I have, then you'll believe it because you don't know what it is that you want. You don't know yourself. You don't know what your goals are. You don't know. So you can buy into what they're saying and you can feel, and then you start this circle of depression and self loathing. And that's what ends up happening. Depression and self-loathing because you aren't that person, you don't know how to become that person, and really deep down inside you don't want to be that person because of whatever reason. So, you got to know who you are and what you want at the end of the day. No. I look at certain people and I'm like, I wouldn't want your, I would, if it was given to me along with $500 million, I wouldn't take your life. I wouldn't take your life. I wouldn't put myself in your shoes. I would not want to be you. All that glitters, sometimes you have to listen to sayings, and they're so true. All that glitters is not gold. All that glitters is not gold, meaning that everything shiny isn't a good thing. It's not all that it's cracked up to be. When I don't know, it just breaks my heart when I hear some of these people say, you're not good enough to hang around me or be my friend, or why would there's so many people that are in an emotionally fragile state out there, and that's why a lot of these people are so big and popular in who they are, because people are in an emotionally fragile state. They latch on to somebody on the internet, and then they just let this person pimp them until they have, instead of building that person up, they tear the person down. They call themselves motivational and builders and all this other stuff, but they really tear people down. And I think it's a technique. I really do. I think it's a technique. I think they want to tear people down so that people are always in need of their message, so that people always feel less than, so that people always feel emotionally bankrupt, and then they can continue to give them their message and they continue to feed off of it. I mean, I think that's the real, I think it's very intentional. I really do. And maybe it's not, and maybe I just see it that way, but just be who you want to be. Be who you want to be. If your life goal is to lay on a beach, I say that because that's my life goal. My life goal is to really just lay on a beach every day, to lay on a beach and eat my meals on the beach and sleep on the beach and play in the ocean. And that's my life goal. That is my idea of success. My idea of success is not going to here and there and everywhere else and running around and everything else. Now, I have some years and some things I need to do before I can just lay on the beach permanently, but really, those are my goals. So, that's it. Now, some may say, hey, well, you have to be able to support that lifestyle. Yes, that's why I grind, so that I can make sure that I can support the lifestyle of Tish laying on a beach doing pretty much nothing. But Tish did a whole lot before. If you see me laying on the beach as a lifestyle doing nothing, just know I earned it. I did the work that it took in order to live the life. But I'm not going to come up here, if you see me laying on a beach doing nothing, and tell you that you're nobody unless you can lay on the beach with me. And you can't be my friend unless you're in a position where you can lay on the beach with me. And I respect the fact that certain people are like, I don't want to be around the rest of you, or what, however somebody else wants to live their life, it's right for them. And, go out there and be the best version of you, whoever that is. But it's okay if you don't want to be their version. I don't expect my goals and my dreams to be your goals and your dreams. Does that make sense? So when somebody comes on camera and says, you're nobody unless you're living my dreams, my goals, unless you have my kind of life, I take exception to that. I take exception to that. Or tells you, what is wrong with you? You just want to be a little Christian housewife? Hey, hold up. Hold up. Raising the next generation of humans is the most important work, in my opinion, that is done on this planet. Period. You see a bunch of people you don't like in life right now, it's because nobody raised them. So I consider that to be a pretty big job. And I take homage to anybody who tells me that my work, my life's work, which is raising my children and being a housewife, means nothing and is nothing. I'm sorry. Yeah, it is. It's everything to me. May not be to you, and that's okay, but it's everything to me. So, yeah, just know who you are, know your value, know your worth, and know that your worth and your value is not predicated on driving a $150,000 car or living in a 10,000 square foot house. You have value and worth and importance whether or not you ever have any of those things. Whether or not you ever have any of those things. In my opinion, there are a lot of people that are living out there right now, out here, that they have a richer life than the richest motivational speaker or influencer right now on social media. And their life is simple. Their life involves family, children, backyard barbecues, just peaceful days in their backyard or fishing or gardening or whatever. To me, their life is richer than some of these people on social media who are like, look at my everything. Because I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. As somebody who has gone through millions of dollars in her lifetime, literally millions of dollars, there's only so much shopping you can do. There's only so many things that you can have. Those things don't really bring you joy. And that's the secret they won't tell you. They will never tell you that the jewelry, the cars, that doesn't bring you joy. I'm sorry. It doesn't. It doesn't bring you joy. Is money a bad is money a good thing? Yes, money can be a good thing because it can create time freedom. It can create opportunities for people that you love and for yourself. So, in that sense, is it a bad thing? No, in moderation to a certain extent. When you get too much of it, why do you think they made that song, More Money, More Problems? And they laughed about it, but they were really telling you the truth. The more money you have, the more problems you have. The more money you have, the more people hate you. The more money you have, the more danger you live in every day. The more money you have, the less you know if the people around you are really for you or if they're just for your money. The more money you have, the more taxes you have to pay. The more ways you have to figure out how to give away a certain amount of your money. How many times, how many murder shows have you watched where somebody was murdered, a mother was murdered, a father was murdered, a rich uncle was murdered because their family didn't love them. They just loved that person's money and they wanted that person to die so they could inherit their money. More money, more problems. Money breeds a lot of things, and people with money use it as a tool over people who don't have money. This has been done age old. Somebody with a lot holds it over somebody who has very little and says, I'm better than you. I'm more important than you. And if you do this or that, then I'll give you some of my money. And people sell their souls for money. They'll sell their soul for money. They will do things that are disgusting, that they are ashamed of, that they hate themselves for, that they have guilt over for money. So you need to really be very secure in yourself if you really plan on going for it and being super successful. You need to be very solid in yourself so that you do not allow money to change you. Because money will take you down some dark alleys, honey. Some real dark alleys. I've seen people go down some dark, dark alleys. I've never been fazed by money. I mean, I like having money, enough money so I can do what I want to do. But I'm not like, I've never been influenced by money. because I know what comes with it. I know the darkness, the perversion, and the power that people want to have over you when they have money. So, yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. Success is what you decide success is. Success is deeply personal, and success can only be defined by you. Do not let somebody else define success for you. Do not let somebody else tell you that you are not successful if your life does not look like theirs. Do not let somebody else make you feel less than if you do not have what they have. Somebody who does that does not truly care about you. They don't truly care about you. I'm sorry. If somebody is yelling, if somebody's on social media and they're yelling at you, cursing at you, telling you you're stupid, and all these other kinds of things, that's not somebody who has love for themselves or you. That means they don't know how to treat other people like they want to be treated, and they don't care about you. It's not tough love. That's disrespect. And that's what I think we need to start calling it, disrespect. So I just encourage you. There's and you know, and if you like it, I love it. If that's what you're into and you like it, I love it. I love that for you then. That's great. I'm not here to tell you how to live or what to be or anything else. I just want people to understand that be happy with who you are. Be happy with where you are. Be excited and encouraged about where you're going, but be happy with who you are and where you are. I think that's the problem right now. Everybody is unhappy in life because they want to be so and so, but you don't know what comes with being so and so. There are people out here who are doing things that you could not believe, that you would not believe even if you saw them doing it, just so that they can be in certain rooms and be successful or be powerful or be rich. You don't want none of that. So, just saying. So, yeah, go out there and find somebody who that you want to follow on social media that makes you feel good, that is kind to you, that is loving to you, that is encouraging to you, that inspires you, and follow them. But somebody else ever, because you don't know what they had to do to be them. You don't know what they had to do. And some of these people that y'all are following sound crazy. They'll have moments where they're not clear, where they literally will get on social media and lose their minds. And you can go through their lives and watch it. They will literally lose their minds and start cursing at people and cursing people out and talking crazy and everything else. It's because when you get to a certain level, the things that you have to do to get there cause your mind to fragment. You are asked to do things, you are asked to see things, you are asked to sell parts of yourself, and then you can't live with yourself. You can't live with that. And that's why you see a lot of these people, and you'll be like, excuse me, that person just start cursing everybody on the live out, or that person just did this or that, or that person is constantly doing drugs, or that person is whatever, because they had to do something to get that money. They had to do something. Don't just think they, sold a bunch of stuff or became, what there's attachments. There are attachments that go along with money. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be I don't want to say anything out of school, okay? I don't want to say anything out of school. But I will say there are attachments that come with money. So when you are worshiping somebody who's not God, when you're worshiping somebody, when you're looking at their lifestyle, when you're wanting what they have, just know there are attachments that come along with that. And you better be prepared for those attachments if that's what you want. I'm not telling you. what you should or shouldn't want. That's not for me. I have my own life. So that's the only life I'm responsible for. Tish is only responsible for her life, not anybody else's. But I'm just letting y'all know because I've been there. I've been there. I've been raised around, was raised around people who are generationally wealthy. I've been in rooms. I've seen the things, which I'm not going to go into because I love my life and I love my family. But I'm just saying, be aware that not everything you want is what you think it is. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with just wanting to have enough money that you can do some traveling, live comfortably, give your kids what they want. Ain't nothing wrong with that life. Nothing wrong with that life at all. If that's what you want to do and that's how you want to live. Okay? So I just thought I bring that up. People will do anything for money. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And people act like no, they wouldn't, and this and that and everything else. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. In my experience, I have seen that people will pretty much, almost everybody will pretty much do anything for money. They'll sell their mother, their sister, child. Pfft, y'all don't know. People sell their own soul. How deep is that? You'll sell yourself. You'll sell yourself. And then you'll be on social media acting crazy and having breaks with reality like Britney Spears, like all these other celebs that you see that are glitching and acting all crazy and everything else because your mind fractures when you do certain things and go certain places and see certain things. Your mind can't handle it, it can't process. And so it fractures. And then you see strange behaviors in people out of nowhere because their mind is fractured. Their mind is no longer whole. But then they gonna turn around and try and sell you their lifestyle. Be like me. So we just have to be careful. That's all I'm saying. You just have to be careful. I'm not telling you not to want what you want. I'm not telling you not to be who you want to be. Be whoever you want to be. I'm just trying to say, these are some things that can come along with what it is you think you want. Um, because it's good to know, right? For anything that you do in life, it's good to know what comes along with it, right? Because sometimes people want things, but they don't know what comes along with it. Sometimes people want a pool, right? You want a pool in your backyard, right? Summer's hot. You want your own private pool. You're tired of going to the public pool and being in the pool with other people. But you didn't factor in how much the electricity is to run that pool 24/7. It has a filtration system that has to run 24/7. You didn't factor in the cost of the electric bill of running that pool filtration 24/7. So you said, I think I can afford to live in this house and pay the electric bill, but I want this beautiful pool, but you didn't factor in the electric bill. And now you don't have the electric bill money. And now they cutting off your electricity. So it's that kind of thing. Like it's the hidden costs. They call it the hidden costs. Make sure whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you aspire to be, that you've counted all the hidden costs that come along with that thing. That's what a lot of people who want to be in Hollywood and in the music industry, they don't count the hidden costs. All they see is the money and the fame. They don't think about what happens when I can't even go to the supermarket without people attacking me and trying to rip off my clothes. What happens when I can't go watch a movie without a mob and 5 bodyguards? What does it feel like? You don't think about what it feels like. You walk down the street now, nobody cares. Nobody knows who you are, nobody cares. But think about what it means when everywhere you go and you're just trying to live, you're just trying to get some groceries and people mob you. You can't do it safely. Okay? You have to think about all the things that come with what it is that you want. So, it's just something to think about, and That's success. What does success look like to you? It looks like something different to everybody, as it should, because, like I said, success is deeply, deeply personal. It's deeply personal, whatever it is that you want. There are people who want to be nuns and live in a convent with other nuns and, you know, pray all day and seek the voice of the Lord. And that's their idea of success. You know, who am I to tell them that they're wrong? I mean, it's not me, it's not Tish, but who am I to tell them that they're wrong, right? Some people just want to run a mom and pop store in their neighborhood. That's their idea of success. That's their idea of making it, right? Some people want to stay at home with their kids. Some people want to run a Fortune 500 company and be in boardrooms and in certain rooms with the doors closed with certain powerful people. And that's their idea of success, right? It's so deeply personal. It is so deeply personal. So I hope that you find what success means to you and you pursue it, but just make sure you count all the costs, all the hidden costs that go along with it. And then make sure that it is indeed something that you want, because there's nothing worse. Let me tell you something that's so sad, and nothing worse than somebody who said that they want something and they desperately want it and they go for it and they work hard for it, blood, sweat, and tears. And then they get it and they realize, oh, I don't want any part of that at all. Get it away from me. Because it's wasted time and you can't get time back. So, success can look like anything to anybody, and it should, and that's a great thing. But what you can't get back if you get it wrong is you can't get back that time. So there's years that you're going to lose possibly if you go for the wrong thing. That's why I say really think about it, pray about it, write it out, research it, talk to people who already have what it is that you want or who already are who it is that you'd like to be, and make sure it's something that you do want, because you can't get back the time. Although you can change your mind any day of the week, any hour of the day or night, and become something different. That's not a problem. You have permission. I give you permission to do that. Okay. But you can't get back the time that you lost. And I mean, you could say lessons learned. And so, yes, that's true. You learned lessons that are invaluable, right? But you did lose time. So, like for me, I'm a late bloomer. I'm 51 years old. I'm a late bloomer. It is what it is. But, you know, okay, I learned a lot of lessons while I was, budding and getting ready to bloom, but there also was some wasted time. And that makes me sad for a younger Tish that she wasted time. And now she's 51 and she can't get the time that she wasted back. Although, all in all, I did exactly what it is that I wanted to do with my life. So, yes, is there a little regret for some periods of wasted time? Yes. But all in all, I'm super happy with who I am and what I spent my life doing. I did exactly what I wanted to do. So I'm very thankful for that, you know. And I'm thankful for the path that I chose that kept me away from super wealth, because that's a path that I would have been on had I not made a very intentional decision to marry my husband, have 5 kids, be a stay at home mom. That was very intentional. Some people think that I just, like, if you knew my story and you knew my family and you knew how I grew up, you would know that that was a super intentional decision to do the exact opposite of what my life path was headed toward, how I was raised, and the lifestyle I was raised in. I did a complete 360 on purpose. On purpose. I saw some things and I did not like what I saw. And so I decided to be somebody different. So, anyway, that's enough. I don't even know what time it is. Child, I got to get up early, 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 early. So, and I have a huge day tomorrow. Huge day. Huge day. So I gotta go. I gotta get some sleep. Like it is for real super late. For real. So I gotta get some sleep. So thank you for listening, and I hope that my life makes you think. I'm not disparaging anybody online. I really am not. I'm just saying you don't know what all somebody has. Like, there have been so many people, right, on social media who presented and portrayed themselves one way, and they're, you see their, go to their page and they're laughing and they're happy, and life is perfect and beautiful and wonderful. And then you read the next week that their husband killed them or their boyfriend killed them, or they were, yeah, like that woman and her two kids that were stuffed in a barrel, out, was it out here in Texas? I don't know where it was. No, it was somewhere else, I think. I don't know where it was, but and I don't remember her name. I'm sorry, but like she had had this whole online social media life, right? And she was married to the perfect guy, good job, beautiful home, the cars, everything, right? Three, she had two kids or three kids. I don't know if they had two kids. I think she had two kids and she was pregnant with the third child. And he, Mr. Perfect, all the while was having an affair. Now, she was a beautiful girl, beautiful young girl. He was having an affair on her. And when she announced that she was pregnant, I believe this is right. Okay. Don't quote me. I'm not the National Enquirer, but I believe this is right. When she told him she was pregnant with a third child, so he's already having an affair. So he doesn't want to be further tied down by another child. So he snapped and he killed her and their children. He killed his pregnant wife and their children, and then he worked like at an oil refinery. Y'all jump in if you remember the story. It was like it's on Netflix or whatever. The documentary is on Netflix, and it was all over the news for forever. And he worked as like an assessor or a land purveyor, or land assessor, or I don't know. People don't quote me here, but anyway, he did some kind of job, and it required him to go out into the middle of nowhere, and there were like oil barrels like that you had to climb a ladder to get up to or something like that. I don't know. I think it was oil. And anyway, he dumped the kids and her in one of these barrels and then went back just as cool as you could be, constructed a lie, talked to the police. You know how these men do when they kill their wives. They're the first people on TV begging for their wife to come home, and was part of the search team and all this stuff. Man, all the while it was him, right? He had cleaned everything up too. I don't know that they even found any forensic evidence, but it was like I I don't remember the whole story. Don't quote me. Don't quote. But that was the gist of the story. He did it. That was the gist of the story. He did it. Okay. So, but my point I was trying to make before I did all that long explanation was, they were on social media looking like the perfect family, the perfect couple. He's loving on his kids. He's carrying them around, giving them horseback, rides on his back and all this stuff. Like they have hundreds of hours of them being the perfect family on social media. All of her friends wanted to be her. All of the women wanted to marry her husband. They all thought that they were a perfect family. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, there was like, it was a whole documentary. Go check it out on Netflix. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, all this stuff is happening. There's problems, there's all kinds of stuff. So that's what I'm trying to say. Just remember when you see somebody on social media, I mean, I think I have the most, probably one of the most transparent lives on social media. Like, there's nothing secret, weird, or, going on in my life. But for a lot of people who are trying to portray that life, I mean, look at me. Look at me. Obviously, I'm not trying to portray glamour girl, perfection or anything else. But Yeah, there's a lot of people. Then there was those two women that were married and they had all those kids and they were, living the I don't know whatever lifestyle and making life look great. And then they drove them and the kids off the cliff. And then there was that mom. I did a whole live on her, right? The perfect Utah mom, right? She had, I don't know how many kids she had. But anyway, perfect. She was a lifestyle influencer. She had over 1 million people on all social medias. Okay. And then it turned out she had her kids chained up and, like, come on. Yeah. People are losing their minds. That's what I'm trying to communicate here. People are losing their minds. And a lot of people are following these people thinking that they're all this or that and wanting their lifestyle, and I really believe that's why the Lord said, don't covet anybody. Don't covet anybody else's lifestyle. You don't know who they are and what they have going on. So don't want to be like somebody else. Don't want to be like somebody else. Want to be like you. So be very careful of listening to other people who get on social media and tell you how you should be. That should be a red flag. When somebody gets on social media and says, you need to look like me, you need to be like me, your teeth need to be perfect like mine, you need to want my money, I know you want my money, all this stuff, right? Don't let anybody tell you who you are and what you should want. Be your own self. I've said enough. Okay, I'm going. All right. Y'all have, well, tomorrow. It's now Wednesday. So Wednesday is going to be a really big day. So I'm excited about today. But, yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay, I hear you. Because the Lord told me, yes. Yeah, I'm serious. Like for reals, for reals, for reals. Like it's scary out there, y'all. You think you know people, but you don't know people anymore. Okay, I had some situations, um, and yeah, yeah. Yeah. Uh I've had some situations and I've lived through some things, people. People. When I start doing my testimonies. By the way, if you want to see some of my testimonies, you should head on over to Facebook. Texan Tish Tillis. If you're not already on Facebook, you should head on over there because that's where I put all of my content. I'm trying to put a lot of it on YouTube, but all of my content is on Facebook at Texan Tish Tillis. But yeah, man, like I had this one boyfriend, I'll end with this. I had this one boyfriend, um, and all the women wanted him. He was built like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was like my only boyfriend that I've ever had that was just like, like the Hulk. Like he was I don't even remember seeing him lift weights. I don't know how he maintained that body or where it came from. But anyway, he was tall and built and and handsome and everything, and he owned a business. And so I was very into myself at that point in time. So I was like, yeah, you're okay. I didn't consider him to be like all the women were like, for him. But, I was like, yeah, you're okay. But anyway, all these women were just all over him and just were crazy for him or whatever. And that was my boyfriend who imprisoned me and all kinds of other things. Yeah. So, but to the outside world, we were this hot couple, right? And I was, and all of my girlfriends were like, I can't believe you got him. He's your boyfriend. You know, quick story. He wanted to marry me, and I didn't want to marry him. And so what he did was he told my parents that we were engaged. He didn't tell me. So he says, okay, we're going to go to your parents' house on Saturday. And they were like throwing me an engagement party. I didn't know I was engaged. Okay. Manipulation. And what he does is right before we go to my parents' house, right before we get there, he takes me to the upscale supermarket by my parents' house. And he gets on, back in the day in supermarkets, they had, the loudspeaker. Like everybody had like a microphone thing by their, you know, um, register. And you could press a button and go beep. And then, you talk on the loudspeaker and you would talk to everybody in the store. So he gets on the loudspeaker and he takes my hand and he gets on the loudspeaker and he asks me to marry him. And everybody stops what they're doing in the supermarket and they all come around and he's got this big ring um and every like I had 100 faces staring, literally people stopped what they were doing and gathered in a circle around us, and I felt so pressured to say yes. I did not want to marry this. I I didn't see marriage coming as a thing. I did not want to marry. But meanwhile, remember, I have to say yes so that we can go to my parents' house, which was really an engagement party for us because I was engaged and I didn't know it yet. Yeah. So all that suffice to say, there's so much more with just him. Man, I have stories for daisies. Stories for daisies. People look at me and they see a stay at home mom. Y'all just don't know what happened back in the day. Back in the day. Back in the day. This is like 20 plus. 25. No, 20. My oldest daughter's 26. So this is like 30 years ago. Like everything popped off 30 years ago in my life. Now I have Christian things that pop off in my life. Okay. But anyway, like, so point being is everybody saw this whole lifestyle, right? They saw this whole lifestyle. They saw him and he's gorgeous and he's got money and he was a successful business and, he's handsome and, all this stuff. And I'm, this back in the day, 30 years ago, I was beautiful, honey. I was beautiful. I'm still not bad at all for 51, not bad at all for 51, but back in the day. Okay. And so, they're just looking at us like this power black couple, but nobody had any idea that he was literally locking me in with a deadbolt in our apartment, that I was being held hostage. And it's so funny because I would call my friends, right? My male friends to come rescue me. And they were scared of him because he was like He-Man. So they would come. I remember they would come and they would stand outside like I was Rapunzel and talk to me. But nobody would go up against him because he was crazy. None of my male friends would go up against him. So they were like, we feel for you, but we're not going to be the ones to get involved. Nobody knew about that though, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Things go on behind closed doors. You're looking at your favorite celebrity, you're looking at your favorite couple, and you're thinking it's all this or all that. You don't have any idea. Half the time, you don't have any idea what's going on. Let me tell you, some of these women that you think you want to be, there's things, baby. There's things. There's attachments. There's attachments. There's things. That's all I have to say. All right, now I'm really gone for good for today, right now. I don't want to say gone for good because words are very powerful. I have no intention on being gone for good, but I'm gone really on this live for good. Yeah, I'm not going to tell another story. All right. So, y'all have a beautiful night. If you watch this, my hat is off to you. I would take my actual hat off, but yeah, we're not going to do that. We're not going to show my hair. So, but my hat is off to you. So, y'all have a great rest of your day. And I will see you tonight, right? Because today is now Wednesday. So, I'll see you tonight for tonight's live. All right. Bye. Oh my gosh, I can't remember how to turn off YouTube. All right. Okay, there we go. There we go.